Hello, everyone. Welcome to one of our real world conversations. I am here with Ali, who is one of our change management experts, actually not ours, the world's, I would say. And he also has his own podcast. So could you just do like the short version of an intro to you? And then I'd like to jump in and really talk about your career journey because it is fascinating.
Thank you, Sasha, and good to be here. That's very generous of you to call me the change manager of the world. I am the host of the Inner Game of Change podcast. It's a passionate sort of side hustle for me that I use to share ideas, talk to people who think better than me, and learn from them as well. And predominantly, I work in the business of managing change and adoption. But really, my aim in life is to create that positive change experience. I'm driven by that every single day. And in fact, I try to even teach my son around, we were talking last night, Sasha, I was saying to him, what is the feeling that you leave anybody you interact with? So what's the feeling? Do they feel that, well, that was really nice to meet this person? Oh God, that was really, I don't know about that. And the feeling you walk away when you leave these people is what we call the experience. So wouldn't it be great if we can find ways as humans to create that positive interaction?
That's a great place to start, right? Like, what is the experience that you want to leave people with? I love that. So what was your journey? So I know you have had some big change in your own experience, which maybe is what makes you so great at guiding others through change. But tell us about your story.
Thank you. My story goes back. I was originally born in Baghdad in the 60s. I'm an old guy now. Well, I'd like to think that I'm a wiser guy now. And, like a normal person, was interested really in the little things, come from a big family. I was in the middle. I was the only one that finished my master's. I was a believer in education. And also I was the only one that was interested in sports. So I used to play a lot of soccer, football, and ever since, I was fascinated by one thing. What can I do to be better at what I'm doing? Whether it's actually karate, whether it's actually studying, whether it's actually even playing video games. At the time in my life, it was an Atari video game. And I've become good at observing what people do. So my mother used to say, I stare a lot at people, but I was always fascinated by behaviors. And after, the Iran war with Iraq happened, and I was a university student. And unfortunately, on the third year, I was asked to go and fill in the blanks in the front with Iran. I made it, Sasha. And then I finished my bachelor's in English. And then I used to be a martial arts specialist as well, getting paid basically as well for representing the country. Then the Gulf War started. Again, unfortunately, I got stuck in the middle and I've become part of that. And when I finished my master's and I left. And then I was one of those people, very few people in Iraq that in 91 or the end of 91, I decided that the world through my study is bigger than just sitting in a city like Baghdad. I love Baghdad, but I wanted to explore the world. So I took $700 from my mom's saving, and then I went to Jordan. I found a job. And then I went to Yemen, and I found a job in the University of Sana'a. I just showed up and without knowing anybody. And then somehow life helps you, presents people to you and opportunities. And then also I was introduced to manage an expatriate's gym in the afternoon. So that added to me I started reading literary books from the British Council in Yemen about how to be a business manager and how to communicate. And then I need to understand the culture, obviously, in Yemen as well. And then I moved to Saudi Arabia. I did the same thing. I showed up with not knowing anybody. And these were the roots, Sasha, of becoming a good change manager, is that unlike other people, I no longer get anxious about, moving to a country and not knowing anybody, especially nowadays. In the old days, we did not even have a map. Nowadays, you've got your GPS that will take you anywhere. You've got Uber to organize now, so in your phone. And then one day I realized that there's a country called New Zealand, and then they accept migrants. Again, in my own nerdy way, I went to the American Council in Saudi Arabia, and then I actually looked for the application, filled it out, and I used to be young, and because of my qualifications, I started a new life in New Zealand in 93, I think, or 94. And that's when I got introduced to the idea of business development, business improvement, Kaizen, Toyota Way. So what did I do, Sasha? I abandoned all of my romanticism and English literature.
Oh dear.
And then I decided to read a lot about capitalism, what happens, market value. I wanted to understand the New Zealand society, so I accepted a job in a call center in the 1995, I think. And that was my way to understand society. And because that's really an important thing that we always do, is to understand the stakeholders we deal with on a daily basis. And then I wanted to be in a management position. People said to me, you've got an influence, so maybe that's called leadership. And I've become a leader and a manager, and then in a government department. And then somebody said to me, you need to be better, go and, be tested in the private sector. So I joined a telecommunication company, and then I moved to Australia in 2002. And I worked in banking in here, and around 2010, somebody said to me, you seem to be good wherever we put you. You bring a good, successful story. And then a coach told me that this is called you managing change well. So again, I studied, the kata and the prasa and what these things mean in terms of change. And then I discovered there's actually far more than we expected to be. And also my sense of leadership changed. So I don't need to have an authority to influence. And so I've become a leader in the change management rather than a leader in your classical sense, meaning you've got people that you've got authority over and all of these things. And then also I anticipated that the world, because I worked in IT for a while, the world has got no option but to change their digital systems from 2020 onwards. And nobody told me that. I just anticipated that. And so I've become good at that game of anticipation. Later, that game has become a game of positioning. So I only realized that later. So 2012, I decided that I want to be there ready when businesses will actually try to change their systems. So that's nowadays, I understand what's called positioning. I was thinking about what could I gain from knowledge to be ready when the market needs me. And lo and behold, the world started changing their systems around 2016, 2017, earlier than what I expected. And then, the COVID happened, and I started running my own business as a change manager. And I am deep into the rabbit hole of artificial intelligence now. So on the side, as I mentioned before, I'm the host of the In a Game of Change podcast. Very fitting title. And by the way, I have not come up with this beautiful title. Tim Galloway have written books around the inner game of tennis, the inner game of golf. And then he's written a book which really changed my whole mindset when I read in 2012. It was called The Inner Game of Work. And if I can recommend any book to anybody, that one will actually blow you away around how you think about work in the workplace. And so whilst the world was busy looking for, tuna tins and toilet paper and during the COVID, I was thinking, wouldn't it be great in our lockdown that I can talk to the people whose ideas and books influenced me? So the idea of the podcast came into me. I locked myself in a weekend in early 21, and I watched videos and I read a couple of articles and I had a go. And here I am, a few years later, over 50,000 downloads, talking to hundreds of people about their thoughts on change. And as I mentioned before, my mission is to help anybody that I get in touch with to be a good change manager, because that's what we need in society.
No, I could not agree more. And managing change can be managing yourself too, right? So your career path was not always completely apparent at the beginning of when you started something. I mean, change management didn't even exist as a field, right? Like when you were originally in university. So as we navigate this change as a society and we move into whatever is next in the workplace, what advice do you have for others to be able to sort of foster that? I mean, what you're describing is essentially anti-fragility, right? That you're able to position yourself such that when changes happen, you are able to take advantage of it and be on the front end of it rather than on sort of the back end of it. So what advice would you have for others?
There are a couple of things. One is that traditional education systems probably will disappear at some stage, if not disappearing. I spent 7 years studying. If I take that time back again, I probably would have finished half of that. I discovered that you can study and you can choose a direction, but be open to the opportunities that come your way. And because every opportunity adds a layer to your capabilities. For example, when I managed a karate school, it added more capabilities to me about how to interact with people and influence them and motivate them. But when I managed a gym in Yemen, I needed to look at the financial side of things. So they added a little bit of, and I also wanted to understand what a business owner thinks about and cares about. And now all of these capabilities have come into place. When I worked with banking and the government in Australia and in New Zealand, I wanted to understand what threatens society in terms of, the changes that the government brings about. So I've become good at what we call change impact. There's something called first order, second order, and a third order impact. Those people who are really successful will see the second order and the third order impact, meaning any change. There's a first layer is that, this is going to disrupt my desk and I need to move desks and I need to know new people. That's the first order. The second order and the third order, these are the things that are not visible to everybody. And therefore, that's the job of the change manager to actually highlight those. And the other thing is that this idea that nowadays they call micro-credentials, this micro-learning is an amazing thing. When nowadays I am living in a wonderful time where information on LinkedIn, on generative AI, on Google, these were not in my time. And so adding layers to your knowledge, really such an important piece now. And that's why the term people started talking about is a lifelong learning, which I am a big fan of, because wherever you go, it's actually a continuous learning. If you're one of those, the traditional system of I'm going to have one job for life, I think this is all being now questioned big time by society.
Absolutely. And in America, we definitely talk a lot about like, what does the American dream look like now versus what did it look like 20 years ago, even 10 years ago? And it does look very different, and learning does not even look the same, right? If I think back to when I was growing up, some of what we can do now just with information would seem like magic, right? And it happens incrementally. I mean, even very, very quickly incrementally. And I think we haven't collectively taken a breath as a society to think like how truly wondrous some of these capabilities are. But you do have to teach yourself, right? You do have to put yourself in a position where you're constantly learning.
And I'll give you an example about the technology. I see the value of it. Some other people see, a negative side of things. Yep. Your algorithm in your apps, your algorithms, they give you information based on what you look at and what you see. My algorithm, I like my algorithm because it gives me the information that I care about. And it's synthesized that for me. Nowadays, actually, even an agent will actually present the articles for me that's actually been written around human behavior, neuroscience, change management. So same principle. I look at it from an advantage point of view. Others might look like, well, somebody's controlling my, what I read and what I don't read. Of course, you can change that. But I take advantage of that, and it's not going to take a lot of my time to actually look for information. The other thing is that you just mentioned, these we live in the world that there's a lot of noise happening in there. So I think it might help if we have a sense of a curiosity and a direction. These what we call a noise, and there's a signal. In the submarine world, this is where the analogies come. In the old days, nowadays as well, submarines will look for noises and signals in the under the water, and then everything makes noise. But which one is actually a signal that they actually look for, and which one is just a noise? We have a lot of noise, but there are heaps of signals in that noise. Some of us are good at looking at the noise and understanding it. And if we're not good, we can go and listen to people who are good at it as well. We've got podcasts, we've got available information. So the opportunities are there. We just need to have that level of dialed up curiosity that in this age. If we're interested in being better as people, and now if you're satisfied with your life as is, that's fine too. I'm not saying everybody should be doing that, but I'm saying I think I've got a son. I think he deserves that. If I can be a better person for him, I think that's worthwhile exercise to actually do.
Yeah, I would agree that I think, families, parents, if you're not individually motivated, your children will motivate you for you, right?
Yes. Well, they are our purpose in a way. So my purpose at home is my son. My purpose at work is to serve my community and help, and maybe add a little bit of value. My purpose in my relationship is actually to be a better person. So there's always a purpose, and that's where the signals are. And if we can just look at them whatever motivates you, that's fine. Whatever motivates you, deserve that you become better.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for your time. This is your professional and personal journey is just amazing and fascinating, and I could talk forever. But thank you for being on the show. I appreciate it.
I want to leave you with one thing, which is a mental model that helped me a lot. And again, like any other thing in life, in my life, I understood that later. I'm a slow learner. I'm a long game. I'm a marathoner. I'm not a sprinter. So, and I admit that. I need to read something a few times to really understand it. And so I'm not good with headlines. And that's probably a good thing to think about. Go beyond the headline. Know a little bit deeper. That's really important. It's going to add value to you and to the people you live with. But one mental model that really helped me throughout my life so far, I discovered, again, this nowadays they call it the map versus the territory. I discovered that my view about the world is actually not the world itself. So when I planned things and when I started thinking about travel and I started thinking about finding jobs, and that was my map. That was fine. But then I discovered the reality is completely different. And so then I've become good at being comfortable with the fact that whatever I'm thinking about is an assumption that needs to be validated. And the only way to validate it is actually to go to the territory. So instead of thinking about, wouldn't it be great to actually go and travel and hike somewhere? That's cool. That's the map. Okay. And you can look it up. But the best experience is actually when you go there and then you see the terrain and you think it's completely different. And that's where the experience is actually having a go and being there. Just have a go and be there. Get your hands dirty. You will learn a lot that way.
I love that. Yes, have a go. This is a persistent theme in many of the conversations I've been having, which is do the thing. Go experience it, do the thing. Don't be afraid, do the thing. So thank you for being with us today, and I appreciate that final thought. It was great.